Greetings, my fellow freeloaders and sovereign thinkers. This is LL3's newest podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangroves of South Florida. And today's date, Friday, December 18th, 2015. For all those people running amok, 7 days left for the Christmas shopping. Run to the hills. Don't cut your wrist. Don't get high blood pressure. Remember, you can always tell your kids, these toys are wants, not needs. So, but always give them those. Make sure those little gifts are productive, not have them you be stagnant. Well, it's been pretty interesting. I'm just like scoping around. I had a couple things a few things I'm gonna be talking about. But and I see here, yeah, a few things that's popped up on my Facebook page. So I'm inspired to check that, to address it. And of course, the one big interesting thing that's been happening, the Bernie scandals controversy, which is under CNN, about Bernie Sanders campaign threatens legal action against DNC. It's under CNNpolitics.com. So, everyone is feeling the burn, which I'm not. And like I said, I'm critical of him. However, I see a lot of folks are backing this gentleman because of his non-establishment, or somewhat, I would say, somewhat, because I've been listening to some of his campaign rhetoric, and I'm not really too intrigued. Even he was independent in Vermont, to be exact. So people got to look into this. But this is real curious. It's like typical dirty politics, I would say, regardless of what side of the coin you're on a political perspective. So we'll just check this out. Go. Bernie Sanders campaign threatens legal action against DNC. This is by Catherine Trays, Dan Murica, and Jeremy Diamond. The story highlights data system vendor who runs the program dropped their firewall for a brief period. Sanders' team fired an employee after the data system was accessed. Bernie Sanders' campaign on Friday threatened to take Democratic National Committee to federal court if the party organization doesn't restore access to a crucial voter database. The internal warfare exploded after the DNC cut off Sanders from the database and said the Vermont senator's presidential campaign exploited a software error to improperly access confidential voter information collected by Hillary Clinton's team. The revelation poses a setback for Sanders, who is mounting a liberal challenge to the former Secretary of State. The DNC database is a gold mine of information about voters, and being blocked from it could complicate Sanders' outreach efforts. The timing is also challenging, just weeks before Clinton and Sanders are slated to compete in the Iowa caucuses, and the coming day before a Democratic debate. The developments fueled a long-held belief in the Sanders camp and among his allies that the DNC has stacked the deck in favor of Clinton. At a press conference in Washington on Friday, Sanders' campaign manager Jeff Weavers accused the DNC of trying to sabotage the campaign, and he vowed to fight the DNC in federal court if the campaign access to the data is not quickly restored. Inappropriate overreaction. The DNC is inappropriate overreaction, has denied us access to our own data. Weaver said, in other words, the leadership of the Democratic National Committee is actively trying to undermine our campaign. If they hold our data hostage, we will be in federal court this afternoon seeking immediate relief. He added the DNC is clearly acting in a heavy-handed way, in an unprecedented way. I would like to see another instance where a presidential campaign had their own data, withheld under similar circumstances. The Sanders campaign is planning to seek an injunction against the DNC Friday afternoon, claiming irreparable harm and seeking immediate access to the voter file system, a campaign aide said, adding there is no exception. The DNC will grant access before the close of business Friday. The database breach was first reported by the Washington Post. Clinton's campaign hasn't commented on the incident. Weaver said the problem with the database security dated back to October. We were very concerned that large amounts of our own data was being downloaded, and we contacted the DNC to remedy the situation, he said. We talked to them. and we are assured that this was going to be taken care of. But apparently, they are not competent in terms of maintaining security of their data between the campaigns. The DNC, however, had a very different story. Shortly after Weaver's press conference, DNC Chairwoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz said suspending the Sanders campaign access was the only way to ensure the voter file was properly safeguarded. To protect voter file, this is the only way we can make sure that we can protect our significant assets, asset that is the voter file and its integrity, Wasserman Schultz said on CNN. She said multiple staffers from the Sanders campaign downloaded information then that they did not have the right to collect. They not only viewed it, but they exported it and they downloaded it. Wasserman Schultz told CNN's Wolf Blitzer, "We don't know the depth of what they actually viewed and downloaded. We have to make sure that they did not manipulate the information." She added that this is just like if you walked in someone's home when the door was unlocked and took things that don't belong to you in order to use them for your own benefit. Man, we'll talk about double speak by Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Wow, that's inappropriate, unacceptable. Oh yeah, the chosen one. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, please. But this is pretty funny when you think about it, okay? The DNC has also sent out strongly worded message from Wasserman Schultz to its members accusing Sanders of campaigning of improper conduct. Over the course of approximately 45 minutes, staffers of the Bernie Sanders campaign improperly accessed voter targeting data belonging to the Hillary Clinton campaign, Wasserman Schultz said in the message. I'm not going to use that nasally voice of hers, okay? So I'm going to be a little bit more professional. One of the DNC became aware that the Sanders campaign had appropriately systematically accessed Clinton campaign data and in doing so violated the agreement that all presidential campaigns have signed with the DNC as the agreement provides. We directed NGP Van, the vendor that supplies access to the database, to suspend the Sanders campaign's access to the system until the DNC is provided with a full accounting of whether or not this information was used and the way which it was disposed, she added. Fired Sanders staffer Josh Ureski, Sanders' national data director, who was fired Thursday by the campaign for accessing the database, told CNN Friday that he was not trying to look at Clinton's data and denied that voter file information had been downloaded. We knew there was a security breach in the data, and we were just trying to understand it and what was happening, Ureski said. He said that none of the data the Sanders campaign accessed on Wednesday left the system that day and denied that he or his staff downloaded any individual level voter data. Ureski said, and his team downloaded only telephone numbers, but did so to alert the DNC and NGP Van that Sanders campaign was aware the campaign's voters' information if the DNC database wasn't being properly protected. We knew that we were doing what was being recorded, he told CNN. We didn't try to be sneaky at all. They could argue that we shouldn't have done it, but we did not in any way try to deceive them. We created the records of it having been done, and we did not make an attempt to use it for strategic purposes. Ethan Roeder, Barack Obama's data director in 2008 and 2012, said the biggest problem created by being barred from the database is the fact that Sanders volunteers was not be able to use the voter file to make calls and knock on doors for at least the next few days. I think the pain is compounded each additional day that they don't have access to the files. Roeder said it is definitely has an impact on their operations, especially as close as we are to caucuses and primaries. It becomes a serious problem. NGB Van, the database vendor, issued a statement Friday saying the DNC has instructed the company remove the Sanders campaign access to the database. We are confident at this point that no campaigns have access to or have retained any voter file data or of any other clients, with one possible exception. One of the presidential campaigns, the company said, adding that it was investigating the breach and would report back to the DNC. Sanders supporters react. Sanders supporters and liberal groups have reacted to the news of Sanders campaigns being punished by questioning the neutrality of the DNC hitting that the body is in the tank for Clinton. The Democratic National Committee's decision to attack the campaign that figured out the problem rather than go after the vendor that made the mistake is profoundly damaging to the party's democratic process, said Charles Chamberlain, executive director for Democracy for America, a liberal group that endorsed Sanders this week. The DNC should immediately reverse this disturbing decision before the committee does even more to bring its neutrality in the race for president into question, he added. Weaver, the Sanders campaign manager, said of the DNC, in this case, it looks like they are trying to help the Clinton campaign. We are taking on the establishment, and I'm sure there are people within the Democratic establishment who are not happy about the overwhelming success that Bernie Sanders is having across this country, he added. But we are determined to win this campaign, and we're going to win this campaign by talking about the issues that are important to the American people. To do that, we are going to need our data, which has been stolen by the DNC. So you got Nia Michaela Henderson, Eugene Scott, and Thomas Lobianco contributed to the story. Yeah, this is pretty interesting. Another version of a cloak and dagger scenario on what's going on with the whole Sanders campaign and being, getting and being like suspended from the databases and all that. And of course, DNC, of course, it's going to be a battle in court. We're going to have to find out what's going to happen. So it's very interesting. And you're talking to a man that's not a Sanders supporter. Of course, some of his based on some of his actions are very anti-Bill of Rights culture, and I say that in respect. But it doesn't mean he's always going to vote in that matter. But based on the majority of his voting record, is not really constitutional friendly or Bill of Rights friendly. And it's just how you have to look. That's how you got to look at things. Yeah, this is why, and was interesting because I could let's just check it out here, see if there's anything going on with the Sanders campaign. Okay, so nothing really is happening yet. This only happened 35 minutes ago. Let's see what the biggest outbreak is. Let's just check this out here. Yeah, so he is suspended. So we will find out more in a period of time. So, and we all know too, a lot of us do know that Hillary Clinton is, I would say, Jeb Bush's fraternal twin sister. They're the evil fraternal twins. Okay, so that's what people are expecting in a period of time. Jeb Bush and Hillary Clinton be the top two runners from those two different parties. Just to give you guys a heads up and prepare yourselves, because they think alike and smell the same. But so, on the other hand, in other words, when you look at some of the stuff here on Bernie Sanders, it's interesting. They have one here on voteyourfreedom.com. They did this stuff on Bernie Sanders that he's running in 2016. Bernie Sanders is a self-avowed socialist, according to LA Times, April 28, 2015. According to the Times, Sanders called for free college tuition, a $1 trillion program to rebuild the nation's roads and bridges, government-run health care, higher taxes on the wealthy, and publicly funded elections to reduce influence of the country's rich donors. He would break up nations' big financial institutions. He opposes trade agreements like the Trans-Pacific Partnership that President Obama is pushing, which Sanders says have punished workers by shipping jobs overseas. So right there, I'm against the TPP as well. So I can support him in that area. But government-run healthcare, no. Higher taxes on the wealthy, no. It doesn't work, because when you study the past about trying to tax the rich, I think the Hoover administration tried to do that when the economy was really staggering during the Great Depression. When they tried to tax the rich, the depression got a lot greater. So, and according to the ratings here, on his freedom ratings, of course, 2007 it was 21%. No, 0%. 2008, 21. 2009, 23. 2010, 0. 2011, 6. 2012, 8. 2013, 5. 2014, 8. 0. 2015, 0%. So, and of course, talk about the new Freedom Index as well. Is in here also. And I'm going to add the Freedom Index from the New American as well. but they do check this out, and it says here it's 26%. And of course, this is when he was a congressman. And it's interesting here, Constitution, his votes in Congress. Does he consider the Constitution your Bill of Rights when voting on bills? Bernie Sanders' cumulative score on voting with the Constitution is 26%. So he's not really constitutional friendly. All right, and it tells you everything right here about it. So I'm going to add the Freedom Index here as well, and I'm going to add votesmart.org. Just type in Bernie Sanders. And you can really look at how he votes, and you can make your own judgment. This is why I'm always trying to be very methodical and thorough when it comes to these candidates, because you don't jump on the hype. Because even the times when Ron Paul ran, when Congressman Ron Paul ran in 2000, the last two campaigns, presidential campaigns, excuse me, I should just be more clarification on it, or specific. It has to. You can't do it on the hype, on hype and hoopla. You have to. Everyone has to take the initiative. That is your obligation too, to study the facts of these candidates that are running for these elected positions. They are your servants. I don't want to call them lawmakers or officials. That's too nice. That's like very corporatized, you know. And but the whole thing is they're running to serve for you, not the interest, not the oligarchs, but you. So definitely check these sites out, and we'll have to find out what is going on with the suspension. Will it be reinstated or not? That was going to be the interesting perspective of this, because the whole truth of the matter is, my friends, politics is a cloak and dagger environment, plain and simple. All right, well, the next one here came from Electronic Frontiers Foundation, came out today, and is called "Changes to Facebook's Real Name Policy Still Don't Fix the Problem." In a response to feedback from activist groups, including Electronic Frontier Foundation, Facebook announced Tuesday that it would change such aspects of its real name policy as it currently stands. The policy requires user registration, what Facebook calls their authentic identity, or how friends and family know them, in order to use the social network. The policy also allows users to report other users registered under aliases names. Talk about snitching. Big brother. Oh, well, Facebook, this guy has a fake name. Oh, my goodness. What can I get out of it? Oh, pull down my pants? Okay. Yeah, you sarcasm in that one. Okay. The policy also allows users to report others' users' registration under alias names. It gives Facebook the ability to suspend any accounts where the identity of the founder is used to be fraudulent. This abuse system has been used to silence a broad range of users, from drag queens to Vietnamese pro-democracy activists. The policy has been long opposed by marginalized groups such as ethnic minorities, abuse victims, and the LGBTQ community. In October, the Nameless Coalition, a collection of civil society organizations, including EFF and individuals that oppose the real name policy, wrote an open letter to Facebook to ask to Facebook back, asking the company to commit to allow pseudonyms and non-legal names on the site in appropriate circumstances, require users filing real names, abuse reports to support their claim with evidence of abusive behavior, allow to confirm their identities without submitting government ID, give users technical details and documentation on the process of submitting identity information, and provide an appeals process for those locked out of their accounts. And you can read the actual letter itself. And I'm not too surprised, to be very honest, because I know Facebook has always been like a very New World Order platform. But I got to always tell folks, but it's a good place to put out great information, get people thinking. You want to plant those seeds, okay? That's the thing why I use them. So the first of Facebook scene change announced is a direct response to the Nameless coalition's second demand. Any user reporting an alias must provide additional information and context about why they are doing so. Facebook will require the user to go through several new steps that provides more specifics about the report. The second change raises more questions. Facebook says it will test a new tool to let people provide more information about their circumstances if they are asking to verify their account name. In other words, people who are forced to verify their identity will be asked to let the social network know that they have a special circumstance and give more information about their unique situation in order to justify using a pseudonym. Facebook says that this additional information will help their review teams better understand the situation. Yes, thought crime investigators, allegedly speaking. This mechanism ostensibly provided to allow people to use aliases in what Facebook judges to be an exceptional circumstance force those who are most vulnerable to reveal even more information about their intimate personal lives. The only way that we can use a pseudonym is to share more information, resulting in a remedy that is useless and risk putting them in a more dangerous situation should Facebook share those personal details. Consider political dissidents who use a pseudonym to protect their families and livelihoods on the ground, providing Facebook with additional personal information and context to explain the use of a pseudonym. It's potentially risky, especially if Facebook collaborates with the government in question. The changes and reporting tools are currently only being rolled out in the US, where they will not reach many of the users who need them most. But Facebook promises to expand the changes globally based on feedback. Facebook also mentions wanting to reduce the number of people who have gotten through an ID verification experience and make it more compassionate. But ultimately, the problem with Facebook's policy is a more fundamental one. The real name standard that Facebook uses, a name known by friends and family, is fundamentally misguided. To amount of tweaking will address the fact that it will leave the most vulnerable, those who cannot be open with friends and family due to real life threats, out to dry. A victim of domestic abuse will want to use anything but a real name. An activist working to expose corporate or government wrongdoing depends on a pseudonym to raise awareness online, not the name, their friends and family known by them. These adjustments make Facebook a friendlier platform for some users, and responding productively to user complaints is a laudable and important move. But in the end, it's rearranging chairs on the Titanic. If Facebook really wanted to protect its users and respect their voices, they would get out of the business of gatekeeping their users' authentic identities entirely. Facebook users should be free choose whatever name they want as long as it's not in violation of Facebook's other policies without having to justify it to the platform. Any policy short of this simply misguided. Yes, I have to agree with the EFF on this because the problem is they want to make it real personal. They want to talk about where you live and who you're loved with. It's none of their business. I know I'm convinced they know my name. My name Craig Tote. I know that now. You guys know who I am. I always say that's why I say my name is Craig. Well, now my surname is Tote, Toth. So don't be shy. I admit that. However, if you gotta try to conscript it to others, it will be a complete turnoff. So I would, like I say to everyone out there, there's plenty of other good social media groups. I'm like I've checked out. I know Free Speak has went under, which is a freespeak.net that went under, was a real shame. But I'm going to add worldtruth.org and scene.life, which they're based out of Iceland allegedly, but they're like a no spy. But if you got folks, if you want to verify it, if it's authentic or not, yes, just hit me on your comments. I'd be greatly appreciated. But I'm giving you other options as well, because I'll be honest, most of these social media groups, they need you more than you need them. It's a great tool, spread information, and chit chat with one another. There's some great things about it. I'm not going to argue on that whatsoever. But we end up how I'm seeing this too, with all this personal data, Facebook can actually lock that in, and they could probably share it with others. Okay, which is possible. Things do happen, my friends, on these areas. So you got to always observe and operate things responsibly. So that's why how I see these things with Facebook. With this real name policy, friends of mine claimed they did have how to change their names. So I'm just going to encourage everyone go to other social media outlets and just do your research. But I will prefer two right now: worldtruth.org and scene.life, and make your own decisions. But I'm going to add those to the footnotes with this page, so you could be so you can folks can link it up, boom, and be no problem. All right, next one here came from yeah, Judicial Watch blog, Corruption Chronicles, DHS Security, DHS Secretary protecting Muslims from McCarthyism his communist grandpa lived under. It reads here: the Secretary of Homeland Security is the second high-ranking Obama administration official with a relative investigated for communism by the U.S. government. Judicial Watch has confirmed this is relevant because although Islamic terrorists keep attacking America, the cabinet official responsible for the nation's safety has vowed to protect Muslims from the type of prosecution, and says Grandpa suffered under McCarthyism in the 1940s. During a recent event covered by Judicial Watch, Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson compared the discrimination Muslims face in today's climate of fear, suspicions, and prejudice to McCarthyism, the movement to weed out communists during the Cold War in 1949 during the McCarthy era. My own grandfather was called upon to testify before the House Un-American Activities Committee to deny he was a member of the Communist Party and defend the patriotism of African Americans, Johnson said. Today, his grandson is responsible for the homeland security of this entire nation. Pretty interesting, huh? The affair took place at the Aldo's Area Muslim Society, or ADAMS, one of the largest mosques in the U.S., located in D.C. metro area. ADAMS leadership got Johnson to hold a national security and civil rights press conference in the aftermath of the San Bernardino terrorist attacks. ADAMS officials tried to keep Judicial Watch from attending the event, but the Department of Homeland Security reluctantly intervened after multiple appeals by JW. Initially, DHS's acting Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs, Todd Brazili, told JW this agency does not have the authority to force any private entity to accommodate those whom they do not wish to accommodate, even though the conference was widely promoted and featured a cabinet secretary when JW challenged this and restated the journalism credentials of its reporting staff. Brazili echoed that DHS hasn't the authority to force any private entity to accommodate those whom they do not wish to accommodate. Ultimately, after several appeals, JW was rightfully granted access. Johnson's communist connection had not previously been revealed and certainly wasn't mentioned during the Senate confirmation hearings before he took over the massive agency created after 9/11 to keep the nation safe. This was a bombshell, according to an editorial published in a Los Angeles-based newspaper dedicated to covering business, finance, and economics. Johnson's family history is most troubling, the editorial reads. As Muslim terrorism hits closer and closer to home, our Homeland Security chief views the war on Islamic terrorism as another Red Scare, where the Muslim terrorist suspects are red-baited like his grandfather. No wonder this administration isn't interested in monitoring the radical Muslims for terrorist connections. Earlier this year, JW obtained Federal Bureau of Investigation files that reveal the dad, maternal grandmother, and father-in-law of the President Obama's trusted senior advisor, Valerie Jarrett, were hardcore communists under the investigation by the U.S. government. Jarrett's dad, pathologist and geneticist Dr. James Bowman, had extensive tie to communist associations and individuals. The lengthy file shows, there's some links on here. In 1950, Bowman was in communication with a paid Soviet agent named Alfred Stern, who fled to Prague after getting charged with espionage. Bowman was also a member of the communist sympathizing group called the Association of Internees and Medical Students. After his discharge from the Army Corps in 1955, Bowman moved to Iran to work. The FBI records show Jarrett's father-in-law, Vernon Jarrett, was also another big-time Chicago communist according to federal FBI files obtained by JW as part of a probe in the Jarrett family's communist ties. For a period of time, Vernon Jarrett appeared on the FBI Security Index and was considered a potential communist saboteur who was to be arrested in the event of a conflict with the Union Soviet Socialist Republic, or USSR. His FBI file reveals that he was assigned to write propaganda for a Communist Party in front group in Chicago that would decimate the Communist Party line among the middle class. Oh yeah, this is keeps the plot thickens, you know what I'm saying? And we all know too the Communist Party is funded by the big central banks and part of the New World Order network as well. It's like a little game of divide and rule. But you know what? You got sneaky people want to brainwash folks and want us to be a bunch of little peons. But the whole thing is this, my friends. You always gotta be strategic. You gotta look at everything in the bigger picture. And this is why when I hear Barack Obama speak and these other candidates speak in this form of rhetoric, it always scratches the back of my head. I'm like, hey, he's using that same manifesto playbook. When you start to know your enemy, you can figure them out in a period of time. And you know what? Then you can say, hey, never follow the hype. Always be methodical. Like I always tell people traditionally, even on my slogan for the on my podcast, always observe responsibly, and plus, always honor the Bill of Rights culture. So they don't want you to know that. They want you to be dumb, stagnant, and happy and go, yes, master, may I have another? But we all know Barry Soetoro is just another global bellboy or a bend over Bob, just like the Valerie Jarrett and all these other clowns. They're in his little group. They're weak, pathetic, and they want us to kiss the floor they walk on. And you know what? Who the hell cares? They need you more than we need them. Remember that, my fellow freedom-loving sovereign thinkers, not just in the United States, but worldwide. The Bill of Rights culture is the only answer. Freedom against tyranny. Think about that. And I will proceed. This one came out in actionnewsjacks.com. It's came out a couple days ago. Its new proposal requires more training to attain concealed carry. It's in the state of Florida, to be exact. Gun owners are now being targeted by new plans from state lawmakers. The new proposal will require more training before people can get a concealed weapons permit. It will go from 0 to 12 hours of training in order to obtain a permit. Scott Winningham, the training director on Target Sports in Orange Park, who also sits on the Florida Carry Board of Directors, said there's a fine line with this new proposal. There's a difference between people getting trained on personal responsibility versus mandated by government, Winningham said. The legislation targets concealed carry permit holders. They would have to complete a minimum of 6 hours of gun training and 6 hours of gun safety education. In addition, they have to carry their permits to notify first responders. Failing to comply will be a $1,000 fine. What? I will continue on. It seems every time the winds blow south here in the country, the more people want to infringe upon the rights of people aren't doing anything wrong, Wiggum said. Duncan Kirkland is one of the nearly 1.5 million Floridians who currently possess concealed carry permits. Kirkland said he doesn't really see a problem with the new proposal. It is not preventing anyone from getting it. It also allows first responders peace of mind to know it is a right to carry. They have to protect it as well. I have to disagree. A concealed carry permit is a privilege, not a right to carry, but a privilege. So, Mr. Kirkland, I have to disagree with you. If you don't like it, prove me wrong. The new proposal is one of the 3 gun bills in front of lawmakers right now. Another one will allow concealed carry permit holders to openly carry their firearms. If passed, Florida will join 45 other states allowing open carry. Another proposal will allow concealed carry permit holders who are at least 21 years old to carry firearms on college campuses. Regular legislative sessions begin January 12th. Okay, so there's a few things that are interesting, but more training, and all that good stuff. The government knows best, right? Please. Their integrity level in Florida is just like any other in the state of the states, politically speaking. Their integrity level is not that great. I'm not going to go bash in Florida all the time. Don't get me wrong. They have their pros and cons as well. But the whole thing is this, my friends. I support safety, education, safety, training. You don't need a permit to carry. Your rights are natural born. Not just the Ninth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, but Article 1, Section 2. Basic rights. Okay? Your rights are considered inalienable. That's in the state of Florida. So this is why when I hear about, the right to carry, but they have to protect it as well. Oh, really, Mr. Kirkland? To me, you sound like Warden Cleaver. People don't have a clue. Come on, give me a break. Yes, you have to have if you carry a firearm, you have a higher standard. You have responsibilities. You have to discipline yourself. I'm not going to argue about that at all. But with the permit, it's not the right to carry. It's asking permission. License, what do you say? A license is something the government takes that was yours once before as your rights, and they want to sell it back to you. That's what a license is. That's what permits are. Just giving you the facts, my friends. Okay? Things take time. I'm supporting constitutional carry across the board. But this here, I'm not really satisfied with this particular bill. I'm going to have to look a little further. Yeah, but based on this, it's a privilege, not a right. So you know what? This particular bill is null and void. Plain and simple. So this is how I see it. You can deal with me later. That's okay. I'm not going to get mad about that, all right? Okay, well, speaking of all that, we'll just hit here. Came from naturalblaze.com by Amanda Flurlick. It came out today. Pretty good stuff. Here goes. A farm from a box equips communities with the tools needed to grow food off-grid. The small farming toolkit includes everything one needs to start growing biodynamic organic food off-grid. Self-sufficiency is a must in the modern age, which is why only one California-based company is using shipping containers to create micro farms. Reports Fast Company, farm from box, aimed to equip everyone with the tools needed to produce their own food, live self-efficiency off-grid. A small-scale farming toolkit comes in with the 10, 20, and 40-foot units and is pre-installed with a photovoltaic system comprised of 10 high-efficiency solar modules, off-grid inverters, a transformer and distribution box, and a deep cycle batteries for energy storage. A 3,000-watt generator is also included to back up the array. It's pretty cool. Far from a box is also equipped with high-efficiency LED lighting, secured storage, and a mobile charging area, Wi-Fi, and a remote monitoring solution. Of course, seeds and farming tools are also included. Every unit is capable of producing crops from a hectare of land, 2.47 acres, shares the company. Each box is fully customizable and costs between $25,000 and $45,000 depending on its technology specs. Farm from a box is a Swiss Army knife of sustainable farming, says Brandy Declare, the co-founder of the company. Training programs that cover ecological farming practice, technology, maintenance, and basic business and entrepreneurship is also part of the package. You got a secret blueprint for surviving economic collapse. And they got a nice little photo too. Pretty cool. Now, not only could communities worldwide benefit from the intriguing offerings, it could be a food security solution for areas without reliable access to electricity or water. Based on extensive research, we found that rural communities often lack the resources and infrastructure needed to access nutritious foods, Declare said. We developed a toolkit that contains all the core components needed to grow your own food to a 2-acre plot of land without the need for an existing grid. Imagine the good can do by growing local organic food for a school or helping jumpstart food production after disaster. Farm from a box enables and empowers communities to provide for themselves. A prototype installation called The Atom is presently running at Santa Rosa Junior College in Simona. It was launched in September and is one of many planned for the future. A fully operational pilot project is intended for deployment at the local women's cooperative in the Rift Valley in Ethiopia later this year. The aim of this project is to help shape, and refine the training and implementation program. From Farm from a Box isn't a charity. It empowers and strengthening communities with sustainable solutions powered by renewable energy, said Marco Ridich, the Executive Vice President of Sales for SMA America, a noted solar product manufacturer. The organization recently partnered with the Farm from a Box. SMA is proud to partner with a company whose goal is to bring independence to the community around the globe by providing the tools they need to sustain themselves, both nutritionally and financially. Similar to organizations like Organics for Orphans, which teach community members of poverty-stricken rural communities how to grow their own food and benefit their health holistically. Holistically. Farm from a Box is equipping people with the tools they need to grow their own produce and live self-sufficient lives. What are your thoughts? I think it's great. I think it's really cool, man, because it actually originally came from Creative Commons and TrueActivist.com. I think this is great because sometimes I hear people complain, oh, Americans are stupid, people don't know what they're doing, they just stand there, don't do anything. Look, there's some folks out there are doing something about it, okay? And everyone's got to take the initiative on getting involved with these programs or network with these folks because you never know, man. Hey, like I see urban farming out there around Fort Lauderdale, Miami. I see them all around the country. Got the woofing program, which is very helpful too. Teaches people to better themselves, and I think this here would be fantastic. I would love to look into this as well on the Farm from a Box because technology can be beneficial, really beneficial, and I believe this is a fantastic project. What I read, I gotta look at this a little bit more. I'm happy, man. Like things, people are doing things. So all you folks out there that want to whine and complain and you don't have solutions, do me a favor. Don't bring it to me because I'll tell you with all due respect, shut up. Because why? Because the truth of the matter is, action speaks louder than words, not your whiny rhetoric. It's garbage, invalid, null and void. So check these guys out. Farm from a Box as soon as possible. You won't be disappointed. And all right, finally, there's some video on here as well, but I'm just going to read it. Go, what the heck? It's by KTVZ. It came out a couple of days ago, if I'm correct, right? Let me see. One moment, my friends. Yeah, okay, it's updated. Okay, cool. It's got updated. And this one's entitled Warm Springs Trouble Members Overwhelmingly Okay Pot Grow Sales. It's interesting. It says here, Warm Springs tribal members voted overwhelmingly Thursday to pursue marijuana growing and sales at tribal-owned stores off the reservation. Unofficial results show the vote on the referendum was in favor. 1,252 in favor to just 190 opposed, officials said. By the 8 p.m. deadline, the Confederate Tribes of Warm Springs had enough votes Thursday night for a valid referendum regarding marijuana production and sales. A tribal representative said the count would be validated by Friday morning when the tribal council is scheduled to meet and formally move forward on the venture. Thursday afternoon, even with snow and sleet, the line was out the door as Warm Spring tribal members waited to cast votes. It was not a referendum to legalize drugs, but rather to cash in on Oregon's newest industry. The tribe's Warm Spring Ventures hopes to become one of the first reservations in the nation to commercially grow and process marijuana. Fantastic. Despite the referendum's approval, marijuana will remain illegal to possess or consume on a reservation, but the crops and marijuana products will be sent to tribal-owned businesses to be sold in other Oregon cities like Portland. Tribal member Martha Wisenshut told News Channel 21 she doesn't approve of marijuana, but she's still voting yes. We're dying, Wisenshut said. There are no jobs here. That's exactly what the proposal promised, more than 80 jobs for tribal members and maybe more later. Warm Spring Ventures CEO Donald Sampson said the operation also bring about $11 million the first year and up to $27 million the fifth year. Entry-level wages would range from $10 to $12 an hour, and management positions could earn up to $85,000. The proposal includes a 5-acre site with a growing greenhouse size up to 36,000 square feet. Colorado-based company Sentinel Strainwise has been working with Warm Springs for at least 8 months on the project. We're helping them decide upon the size and scope and market analysis of how they can go about with this cannabis project in a responsible manner and bring the most economic development to the tribe, said Sentinel CEO Chris Hardiman. Hardiman's company will help tribes manage the project for the first few years. It could be a game changer for a struggling company. Sampson said 60% of the workforce in the reservation is unemployed. The tribe's entire budget is only about $16 million a year. I usually don't vote myself, said one tribal member waiting in line, adding that he doesn't have a job. I'm a seasonal worker. He said he's hopeful he can get a job at the plant. A third of the reservation's roughly 3,000 voting eligible members had turned out for a valid referendum. In the past, the tribes have struggled to get members to vote. The Motorsports Project have 3 referendum votes, and they all failed because there wasn't sufficient people showing up at the polls, and they were conducted during very good weather during the summer season, Sampson said. So we're seeing, hold on here. So we're seeing here today is a desire by tribal members to get out and vote their opinion about this project. Nearly every tribal member, News Channel 21 spoke with Thursday, said they plan to vote yes. It's going to put us back where we need to be, not the bottom of the totem pole anymore, said member Jason Stacona. Tribal leaders said the revenue will also help replenish slashed budgets and restore cut services. The tribe is dealing with very hard financial times, and this is a means to help address that, Sampson said. And I know I've read some articles in the past, even like from New American and so forth, about how the economy in Oregon is in certain areas is not really that great. So I am very thrilled to see trying to at least do industrialized hemp. That is a fantastic start. And hey, we got to get things going here, guys, because it really the whole marijuana prohibition, though, that was a total farce. Now people are seeing it little by little again. And some people may have different views. Oh, it's a gateway drug, but you got to look at everything across the board. Look at the pros and cons. But one thing I have to say, yes, I am delighted that they want to make a difference for their lives in those areas. And give them the thumbs up, my friends. At least they can grow, they can sell, and be productive folks. And the demand will be great. And I'll say this: the results could be more of a positive and negative. Of course, you're gonna expect people to break in, rob, um, go try to raid these farms and try to steal for their own personal gain. You gotta expect that. Always prepare yourselves for that, and make sure this marijuana or hemp is organic rather than governmental GMO. Okay, and that is really it now, my friends. Thanks for everyone for listening to this show. Plus, feel free to download and share this throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, recommendations, love letters, hate letters, criticisms, comments, it doesn't matter. I'm like ranting right now. I recommend or send me information that is pretty interesting. However, please use everything what you say with decorum. You can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, YouTube, World Truth, Scene.life. Or you can email me at LokiLuck3, it's the number 3, it's all together, at gmail.com. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves, keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.